Using Philly as a model and my house specifically as an example, let's say, for instance, I was offering my house for sale. You wanted to buy it and figure out what you could do with it. You come visit it. I'd tell you that it was a two-story, 1,400 square foot property. It's got a 15-foot deep backyard. The next slide should be a picture of it. There it is. There's where I live. Not pictured, two screaming kids, or me drinking whiskey. So assume that I haven't rehabbed it yet, and I'm willing to sell you the property as it is for $200,000. Anyone have any thoughts on what you could do to maximize the value of it? What could you add by right? Assuming that I've got 15 feet in the back of my house as a backyard right now. Anyone have any thoughts? Zoned RSA-5? Yes, Brian. Well, okay, so what about that could be done by right? And what about that would require?
Since your neighbors all the way forward, you could maximize your full third story, and you could probably go back another 6 feet on the back of your house.
Right, so those are the two big ones. The third story, because only one of my neighbors has a third story and not both of them, you would have to go in front of the zoning board to get that approved. So that's like a misconception. It's not just one property. It's like you really need to be in between two properties that have been approved for a third story. Now, if you saw the rest of my block, I don't have a picture of it, but there's about 10 houses that have third stories added to it. So if I was going to do that, it would be a huge value add. We could throw a third story on there. We'd probably get that passed through the RCO and ZBA with no problem. Put a roof deck up, 5-foot setback, wouldn't be an issue. And then I've got about 6 feet in the back of my house where I could extend it back there and add a lot of square footage before I ran into the fact that you're allowed to have a backyard of how many feet? 9 feet. 9 feet. In a residential property, you need to have 9 feet of open space in the back.
It's not a percentage any longer of the lot?
There, for RSA 5s, if you look on there, it's looking for 9 feet in the back. If you follow, like, I mean, my house is actually smaller than the 1440 that the lot's supposed to be. I think I'm 11 something. But I think it would still end up being 9 feet for mine. Okay, let's see. So if you were starting from jump before you came to my house, you might try to figure out what the zoning designation of my property is. Unlike the municipalities, Philly is extremely helpful. If you search over to atlas.philly.gov, you can get a ton of information about a property. This is a fresh website. They used to have, like, it was called Philly Maps, and that expires actually next month. That's been around for years. This new Atlas website essentially codifies everything you really need in the zoning and planning world and gets it all. So you punch in the address, and here's what would pop up. Put in 1133 South 13th Street. Here's what you can glean from that page. The assessed value, the owner's mailing address. For example, if it's like a company or someone who lives out of state, then you would get their mailing address. You'd get the date of the most recent sale, the most recent sale price. You get the lot area in square feet, which is very helpful for zoning use calculations. You'd get a history, and they just added this, and it's cool for me, but again, probably super boring, but a history of past and current deeds, mortgages, so you can actually look on there and see what potential liens are and when the last time the property changed hands was. And this used to be stuff where you'd have to look in 4 different places to find it. You can see all of the L&I permits and violations. You can get a link to see if they're still open or not. You can even see a list of 311 requests that show you any issues that have been reported recently around the property. So in my case, we've got zoned RSA 5, which is single-family residential. This is the most restrictive of all the zoning designations in the city. And as a zoning lawyer, I run into this designation a lot because it's also the most prolific zoning designation. I run into it a lot because folks like you will find a property and think, hey, this would be great to have 4 units in. It's zoned RSA 5. What does that mean? And luckily, Philly is super helpful with that too, unlike the counties. And I'll sort of explain how to figure out the county zoning codes to everybody.